Well, hello, welcome. It's the start of the trading week today, right here in Lagos, Nigeria. We see the stock market is open, the banks are open now. But let's get to the top stories that set your agenda. We see the oil market, oil prices have risen slightly in early trade today, but still down about 0.36%. In early trade, $85.03 a barrel. That's what we have for Brent crude. WTI, that's a U.S. grade, still above that $80 psychological level at this time, but down 0.48%. Both benchmarks were up by more than $1 in the previous session after Ukrainian drone a strike led to an oil terminal fire at a major Russian port, and that's according to some Russian officials at this time. So we're seeing geopolitics driving sentiment right there in the market. So other stories now. The Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission has extended the 2024 licensing bid round registration by 10 days. The Commission's Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Gbenga Komolafe, says that the extension aims to give interested investors more opportunities to participate. Mr. Komolafe emphasized the Commission's commitment to maximizing the value of Nigeria's oil and gas reserves and increasing production. He mentioned ongoing collaboration with multi-client companies to enhance exploratory activities and gather more data to attract investment into the upstream sector. The Commission has also added 17 deep offshore blocks to the 2024 licensing round based on new data. And the federal government has announced a $3.5 billion agreement with a Afrexim Bank to boost the textile industry and promote the use of compressed natural gas within a year. The Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Mrs. Doris Uzoka-Anite, made this known on her official X page, noting that the deal was signed at the 31st Afrexim Bank annual meeting in the Saudi Bahamas. The agreement includes a $3 billion industrialization financing facility to accelerate Nigeria's industrialization, statewide investment projects for regional development, and a global country guarantee to boost investor confidence. We need that right now. It also aims to revamp the textile and apparel industry with a projected $3.3 billion in project capital expenditure, creating jobs and developing the CNG value chain for sustainable automotive and transport sectors. Mrs. Uzoka-Anite emphasizes that this landmark agreement aligns with the President Tinubu's vision for a diversified and prosperous economy. To security matters now, the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria is concerned over the rate of insecurity after the kidnap of Managing Director of Fuani Group, who's been rescued now. According to Director General of the association, Segun Ajayi-Kader, the incident has left the entire manufacturing community shocked and concerned about the safety of its chief executives and indeed its workforce. Mr. Ajayi-Kader commends the security agencies for the safe release of Mr. Fuani and asks for intensified efforts to tackle the rising cases of kidnapping and insecurity in the country, as it poses a significant threat to the business community and overall economic development of Nigeria. And definitely, we're all waiting for the open right now for most of the markets we track right here. Definitely was a positive week last week. That's for the stock market. And definitely, we're going to be watching how investors actually open this trading day after 2 days of holidays. It's a holiday shortened week, so we just have Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday for trades this week. But who knows if the bull is going to come out strong in this holiday shortened week, or we might see profit taking again. So we're going to discuss that definitely on the show to find out where the market is going to tend to. We're also going to drill down on the Naira, what to expect. Definitely, we know the close for Friday last week, still around that band of 1,500 to about late 1,400s at this time. That's for the official window. But we know that the parallel market, that was trading 24/7, and we did see a little weakness in that side. But let's get to our first conversation now. According to OPEC, Nigeria's oil production for May was at 1.25 million barrels per day, excluding condensates, compared to 1.28 million barrels per day in April. So we see a change of about 30,000 barrels per day there. That's the difference between April and May. But there are reports of also Saudi Arabia ending the long-standing petrodollar deal with the U.S., and that's sparking online discussions about a potential decline of the dollar as the world's reserve currency And we'll see how this is going to impact the global oil market, going forward. Let's discuss this and other matters now with Mr. Madaki Omadachi Ame. He's a managing partner at BBH Consulting, also a former lawyer at Shell. Great to have you on the show. Good morning.
Good morning.
So let's begin with good morning, sir. It's great to have you. So let's begin with the potential termination of the petrodollar deal. What are some of the potential consequences, for Saudi Arabia and the U.S. if this deal, this petrodollar agreement, is to be officially terminated? We don't have an official statement yet about the termination, but it has not been renewed at this time.
Well, I think what's happening, I think what's happening is that the petrodollar deal is probably the biggest reason why the American economy is the largest economy in the world and why the dollar is so strong. It came into effect in 1973 when America and Saudi Arabia decided that the American dollar will be the currency in which all tradings in crude oil will be done. And because of this singular decision and the agreement that was signed in 1973, the American dollar has become the strongest currency in the world and has also consistently for about 50 years and counting been the reserve currency in the world. So when the agreement fell due for renewal at the end of last week, the Saudi government decided that they were not going to renew it. And even though America is still in shock, I believe that singular decision is going to lead to catastrophic consequences for the American economy. We will see a downturn in the value of the dollar globally, and we'll see an upsurge in the value of individual countries' currencies. Because with the formation of the BRICS bloc, all the BRICS countries are now more attuned to trading in their own local currencies. And so we're going to see the rise of currencies like the Chinese yuan, the Russian ruble, even the South African rand, and the Indian rupee, and this actually will be a good thing for the world economy because there are many consequences for the Americans, for the American dollars, retaining an artificial value for their currency. For instance, the high prices we pay for petroleum products in Nigeria is a direct consequence of the fact that we price our crude oil in dollars, even for local consumption. As long as we keep doing that, the economy will continue to leapfrog, to crawl on the ground, and the citizenry will continue to suffer. The high inflation we're suffering right now is a consequence of the artificial value of the dollar. Other countries rein that in for quite some time. For instance, a single dollar exchanges for 7 Chinese yuan. And this has been on for many years. If you go to China, whatever you can buy for $1 in America, you can buy for 1 yuan in China. So things are 7 times cheaper in China than they are in America. And considering that China is the factory of the world, most of the things that people produce, people consume, even in America, are produced in China. So it's 7 times cheaper to buy things in China than to go to America and buy the same thing that is produced in China. So when we see the decline of the influence of the American dollar in international oil diplomacy, it's going to help to crash a lot of things. Hopefully Nigeria will start selling its crude oil in Naira.
Right.
And also start pricing, the crude oil that is supplied to the refineries, for local consumption, also in Naira.
Okay, that brings me...
the economy will
That brings me to
if we do that, the economy will improve.
Okay, that brings me to my next question. You did mention, other currencies right now. You mentioned the yuan, you mentioned the ruble, and the rand, which is, an African currency, having prospects here to become strong, with this moving away from US dollar trades in the oil market. But definitely, I also want to know how the Naira can actually key in to this strength, if this deal is not renewed. That's the Saudi Arabia-US petrodollar deal. But at this time, definitely we've seen some impact, of geopolitics in the global oil market. So I'm wondering if this is going to continue driving sentiment in the global oil market and how Nigeria can position at this time, so that we can also get some strength, for the Naira, at this time. I'd like to get your perspective on that.
Not done anything new for a long time. And I think that's actually quite shameful. Because nothing new has happened. All that the government officials are doing are basically repeating things that have been done in the past and trying to, and hoping that something will change. If I were, in a policy-making position, Nigeria should be a key player in the BRICS group by now. If Nigeria makes a strategic decision to join the BRICS, bloc, that would be a major statement in the international, to the international forum, and the global economy, that Nigeria is now ready to change the game. Joining BRICS will automatically improve the value of the Nigerian currency. The reason being that, with the end of the petrodollar agreement with Saudi Arabia, and with Saudi Arabia having been invited officially to join the BRICS, and with their Minister of Foreign Affairs participating in the BRICS Foreign Ministers Forum a few days ago, the signal they are sending is that they are prepared and now ready to remove themselves from the apron strings of the United States. Other countries will go that way. A number of countries like Egypt and a few other countries in Africa have been invited to join the BRICS as well. But the last time I checked, Nigeria has not been invited. And countries get invited to join BRICS based on how serious they take themselves, how seriously they take themselves, and how focused their government is in terms of revamping their own economies. Apart from all the lip service they're paying, to economic reforms, which has basically shortchanged Nigerians and made the standard of living completely low and impossible for people to survive because of the spiraling inflation. We have not seen anything new that this government has done. And if this government is really determined to make a step change, the time to play on the global stage by joining the BRICS group is now. Because if we come later, when every other person has positioned themselves, we will not be able to occupy a position of influence, within the BRICS fold. And that would be a shame.
Right.
But we haven't seen anything new from the government, apart from sending large delegations, to go and to COP27 and then to the recent International Labour Organization conference, where they will go there and just warm their seats and do nothing. We haven't seen anything. But if the government wants to make a strategic change right now, this is the time to join BRICS. This is the time to make big statements, because the world is ready, for a step change. And, one of the major impacts of the end of the petrodollar agreement, which the American government has not come to terms with, is the fact that, the facade of the American economy being the largest in the world will come crumbling right under their noses. Because what has sustained the American economy all this while is the strength of their dollar, and the fact that the world, the demand for the dollar worldwide, keeps fueling the printing of new dollars. Because no matter how much dollars the American economy and the American Federal Reserve prints, it will just get mopped up. Nigeria keeps a significant portion of the American dollar in raw cash,
Right.
That is probably what is driving, the unreasonable exchange rate that the Nigerian naira suffers, relative to the American dollar. Nobody could ever have imagined that in a 2024 scenario, the Nigerian dollar would be the Nigerian naira would be exchanging at 1,500 or almost 1,600 naira to $1. It's totally shameful. Right. And it's not something that anybody can contemplate. No matter how you how you spin the story, and no matter how much you waste foreign currency trying to so-called defend, the value of the naira, you are not going to be able to go far. Because how much can you defend the value of any currency? All right. And currently the value of the naira, the gross devaluation of the naira, under this current administration is completely reprehensible, is shameful, and it shows a complete lack of capacity to manage an economy. And I don't know how much longer we can continue to run this way.
All right, Mr. Ame, because definitely, Mr. Ame, we've seen a lot of weakness in African currencies, recently, and also when we saw the U.S. dollar, rally, in the previous trading sessions. But we've seen a lot of weakness, when it comes to African currencies strength, but we're still seeing some, managing to hold on, at this time. But let's look at oil production, because definitely we know that looking at the trend of oil production, in Nigeria, we've seen that downward month-on-month trend there from April, into May, about the difference about 300,000 barrels, or 30,000 barrels per day. But definitely we've been talking about, refining and refining our oil, in Nigeria. We did hear Mr. Dangote talk about an oil mafia, trying to keep Nigeria importing, refined petroleum products, at this time. But we've seen oil production also come down, and I'm wondering, if oil production is not boosted at this time, we have to feed these refineries, at this time. So talk to me about Nigeria's oil production and the possibilities of getting cheap PMS, at some point, in this our refining journey.
Well, my take on that, is that we are running the oil and gas industry in Nigeria grossly inefficiently. And it's really, really unfortunate. We have been talking about ramping up production for years, but we haven't done anything about it. We haven't, beyond grandstanding and just saying the usual things, I've not seen any conscious effort being made, to actually increase production. And the frustration I face with this is that there's so much knowledge, there's so much inbuilt capacity here, but there's so much mediocrity in the oil and gas industry in Nigeria. And as long as you keep doing the same things over and over and again, you are never, ever going to see a change, Now, we look for all the excuses in the world to get things wrong in this country. And because we reinforce mediocrity, there is no consequence management for people who are in big positions but are doing absolutely nothing, to earn their daily salaries, And I don't know how they are able to sleep well at night. We keep talking ad infinitum about trying to rein in crude oil theft. How do we rein in crude oil theft? How do we rein in crude oil theft if, at the end of the day, you put in place very expensive contracts like the Tantita contract? We have a Tantita contract that is 4 billion naira a month, to carry out some form of surveillance on the pipelines. But instead of production to increase, production keeps decreasing. And nobody is asking the contractor, what are you doing differently? And what do you plan to do differently, to make things get better? We're in a situation where, people just keep running on and on and on, the same sort of reinforcing the same failures, and nobody asks them any questions. about how this thing should be done better. We have a situation where, in this same country, some years ago, we were able to grow production from 800,000 barrels to over 2 million barrels within a space of about 6 to 8 months. And the person who made that happen, a certain Rear Admiral A.O. Suleiman, is still alive. He's retired from the Navy now, but he's around. Why are they not asking him what he did when he was commander of Operation Delta Force? Nobody wants to leverage on institutional knowledge to solve national problems, because everybody, a few people benefit from it, from the level of rot that we are undergoing at the moment. I find it extremely frustrating that every single time we get called up, on programs like this to provide solutions, and then you are talking as if you are talking to the wall, and then nobody listens, nobody implements anything. People are just contented. We continue to run the economy aground and run a bankrupt country when we actually have so much potential to quadruple, if not, run this economy 10 times, 100 times more efficiently than we're doing. This is a broke country. We have no money, but we keep, buying expensive things. Now I hear they want to buy a new private jet, a new presidential jet for the president. The presidential fleet already has about 8 to 10 planes. What do they need another plane for? How come they're not even feeling any form of sensitivity to the sufferings of Nigerians who cannot afford even 1 square meal in a day? How long can we continue to run a country, based on government officials playing the ostrich as if everything is right? Some of these things are very annoying, and then, continue to talk about them on and on and on is actually very frustrating.
Right.
Dive in production, in daily production of crude oil. There's no difference in procedure between producing crude oil and producing crude water. So how come we are able to produce water and there's water everywhere, and then we are not able to produce oil and then and refine the oil at the price that people can afford? The current high prices of petroleum products is actually a self-inflicted injury. The government has refused to do the right thing. Why are we pricing local, our products at the pump, in Nigeria based on an artificial price of crude oil, which the international price is prepared to pay? Why are we not able to even say from now on we are going to price our local, all the crude oil that we use locally, in our naira? And when you start doing the pricing in naira and you do appropriate pricing based on the wellhead cost of a barrel of crude, you can crash the current cost of petrol, diesel, kerosene, jet A1, and even the lubricants to levels that will shock you. We can do, even as at today, a 300 naira per liter PMS, AGO, and DPK. I've been saying this for many, many years,
right,
since 2012. When we had the first major oil strike in this country because of the petroleum industry.
Right.
But nobody listens. And honestly, we are getting to a point now where, we may just decide not to talk about this anymore and let them do whatever they want to do.
All right, Mr. Ame, I guess,
so much mediocrity.
Yeah, I guess we still have to, keep talking and driving the message, at this time, because we know that the leaders do here, and at some point, they're going to take action and we'll get things better. We're all hoping and hoping that, with the Dangote refinery, we can actually get affordable PMS at some point and get all the refineries actually working in the country. But that's all we can take now. It was great having your perspective as Mr. Madachi Ame, managing partner at BBH Consulting and former Shell lawyer. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you.
All right, so the holidays are over now, the markets are open, and trade is on right now. And let's try and get an outlook for what to expect in this holiday shortened week. We have Mr. Mukhtar Mohammed, CEO, Finance with Mukhtar, join us via Zoom. Great to have you on the show.
Thank you, Laddie. Good morning. Right,
so we're kicking off trading today. What are you expecting for the market? How do you see investors coming out of the holidays?
Well, investors will be coming from the holiday with a little bit of caution and optimism, depending on which side of the device you will be playing. If you are looking at the banking sector this week, we don't expect so much activities. We've seen what will drive the market. It will be the right issues, what are going to be the prices. We've seen some of them like assets falling below the right issues. Investors might be looking there as an opportunity to get cheap and then maybe still take up their rights. We're expecting Zenith Bank also to tell us what the right issues are going to be, what's the price. UB also expectant to hear what. And also, you know that GTCO have already told us, and people are waiting to know the price and the ratio. In terms of GTCO is not talking about the right issue, they're just talking about the public offer. So hopefully we'll look at maybe some of them will be doing public offer, some of them will be doing right issue. Fidelity Bank right issue is already on. We've seen that the price have moved above the right issue price, so investors will be looking at that space also to take opportunities, also get their right. The other companies that will be driving the market this week will be maybe the brewery sector. Last week we saw Guinness takeover, and the majority shareholder leaving Guinness, and so we saw that price rally, and hopefully we'll continue to see that price rally, knowing that the new owners bought it from the old owners at 81 naira. So hopefully we'll see how the market will respond to that today. Also, you mustn't forget also that Nigerian Brewery Bank on the bandwagon of that move from a week ago was selling at 23 naira, today selling at 31 naira. So we expect that maybe news will come in also from the side of Nigerian Brewery. Remember also, we are waiting for the right offer. Dangote Cement, something very information came to the market last week before the close of the week. Black Gold Eyes, one of the owners, shareholders of Dangote, are exiting Nigeria and Kenya. So they may be dumping some of those Dangote shares, and so will Aliko Dangote, the African richest man, be buying back those shares from them, or will it be floated in the market? That also will be what will determine the price. I think for me, those are some of the key market informations that most investors will be looking out for this week.
Right, so much to look out for. But let me get your quick take now. What are you seeing for the Naira this week, in this holiday shortened week?
Well, Naira, well, we saw the good news from the Exim Bank, from the World Bank. 2.3 billion will be coming into the market, to the central bank. Hopefully it will find its way to the market, but we don't expect them to find a way to the market, or you find them coming in trenches. Hopefully the market should report positively for the Naira, but like I always say, it's a short-term measure. What would really stabilize the Naira will be a long-term measures. And so speculators always know that the short-term measure will just last for some time. And so they always keep on taking profit taking profit when they have to take profit, knowing that the market may receive the news and go down, then hold on to it because they know that it's a short-term game. So we need to begin to see how we can stabilize the Naira. Diaspora remittance are one of them, crude oil sales are other, portfolio investors, both foreign and foreign direct investors also. The good news is that portfolio investors are beginning to come in, even if it's in the fixed income space. So hopefully the Naira should stabilize this week. But I don't see the Naira going as low as what it is currently selling. I see the Naira settling down between 1,480, 1,500, both in the parallel market and the autonomous foreign exchange market.
Right, it's quite incredible. I remember one time it was unthinkable to think of the Naira over at 1,000 Naira to the dollar, but it seems we're getting used to this 1,500, 1,004 band. Quite incredible things happening, but thank you so much. Always great having your perspective. Mr. Mukhtar Mohammed, CEO, Finance with Mukhtar. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ladi, for having me.
All right, that's it from me on Business Morning. We'll give you a summary of the stock market close and details from the FX market at close of trade today. I'm Ladi Williams. It's back to the Sunrise Daily team.